In heaven, there's nothing like great men of God. It doesn't exist. Great men of God are not known in heaven. Heaven only knows that. If you do not dare ask God real questions, He will never give you real answers. So God doesn't assume. If He assumes for you, He will have to assume for all of us. There are three major things that troubled me as a minister. Number one, I was troubled by John chapter 14 verse 12. And Jesus had gone to the Father many years, and I have been a full-time pastor for over a decade. By 2012, I had been a pastor now for over 10. I was getting to 15 years of full-time ministry. And I wasn't seeing John 14:12 coming forth for me and for many people that I knew around me. Even making it worse, I even saw many great ministers, like we call them, go to the occult powers, occultism, to go get rings and magic chains and magic sword to thousands of people who were singing and dancing and praising the Lord. And in the middle of the music, all of a sudden I stopped, lifted up my eyes, and heard me say something that I did not plan. It's not me that was talking, because the things I said were never in my mind. I heard me say a prayer. Lord, since I have been serving you and walking with you, you have never taken me to where you live. You know, the interesting thing is, when that happened to me up there, the Lord opened the eyes of the wife of my friend, Prophet Rich Dana, that came from New York. And she saw me enter, and then she turned to my wife and said, you see my brother lying here? He's no more here. I just saw him. He's just crossed the gate like this. Are you ready for something new God is about to do? Now, during my stay with you in this conference, Apostle Rumi has made my job very easy. He wants me to tell you of my encounters with the great monarch of Zion. And that is very easy for me to do. But I can promise you, as I tell you of the encounters, get ready, some strange things will happen to you in this ground. How many of you are ready to see Jesus? In John chapter 12, the Greeks came to Jerusalem for a feast. And when the feast was over, they went to Philip and said to Philip, we want to see Jesus. Like Apostle Gideon said, until you see him, you're still in the outer court. See, there are some things will happen to you when you set your eyes on him. So today I want to tell you of my first rapture to heaven. By the grace of God, I've been raptured to heaven 4 times already. And I can't tell you how many times Jesus has come to my room and has come to meet me. Not in a vision and in a dream. It's good to see Jesus in a vision, and it's good to see him in a dream. But it's another thing altogether when he walks into your room. See, you can't be the same after you have seen him. Seeing him once is enough for a lifetime. If he gives you the privilege of seeing him many times, it's even better. So on this day, I want to start telling you my first rapture to heaven. And I pray that the time will permit me to flow and deliver everything that, as much as I can deliver in a session. Get your Bibles with me to Revelation chapter 4, and we're reading from verse 1. The Bible reads, after this I looked, and behold, a door was opened in heaven. And the first voice which I heard was as it were of a trumpet talking with me, which said, come up hither, and I will shew thee things which must be hereafter. And immediately I was in the spirit, and behold, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne in sight like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seats I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment, and they had on their heads crowns of gold. And out of the throne proceeded lightnings and thunderings and voices. And there were 7 lamps of fire burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. And before the throne there was a sea of glass like unto crystal. And in the midst of the throne and round about the throne were 4 beasts full of eyes before and behind. And the first beast was like a lion, the second beast like a calf, and the third beast had a face as a man, and the fourth beast was like an eagle flying. And the 4 beasts had each of them six wings about him, and they were full of eyes within, and they rest not day and night, saying, Holy, holy, holy Lord God Almighty, which was and is to come. And when those beasts give glory and honor and thanks to him that sat on the throne, who liveth forever and ever, the 24 elders fell down before him that sat on the throne and worshiped him that liveth forever and ever, and cast their crowns before the throne, saying, Thou art worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for thou hast created all things, and for thy pleasure they are and were created. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The story of my first rapture to heaven happened on the night of the 3rd of July 2015. We were then in a retreat ground in the United States of America, in a little town called Ashland in the state of Virginia. But before I get to the 3rd of July, there was a rupture in our walk with God and in our service with God. And the rupture occurred in the month of April 2012. I started telling you that I gave my life to Christ. I was a teenage boy. From secondary school through high school, through the university, I served the Lord full time. And from university, my wife and I, we went to full-time service. And we've been serving God now full-time for over 25, 27 years. And we became pastors, and by the grace of God, started the ministry Alpha Naomi, which we are running. And we started traveling by the grace of God, preaching in the nations of the world. But in the month of April 2012, we just came back from a trip in the United States, and the Lord had glorified himself. We had preached and we've seen many people blessed and many people healed, and God had done great things. When we came back home, finished telling the testimonies and the stories of the great things God had done, suddenly, somebody says suddenly, all of a sudden there was an emptiness, a vacuum in my heart. Suddenly I didn't want to do ministry anymore. See, Apostle Gideon said it this morning. He said the demands for ministry are greater than the demands for going to heaven. But I even want to make it better, Apostle Gideon. See, some of you just want to do ministry. The demands of walking with God and serving God and pleasing God are even greater than the demands for ministry. So many people are into ministry. They preach and they do the works of ministry. But there's another thing altogether: to walk with him, to please him. See, I was telling some people last week, in heaven there's nothing like great man of God. It doesn't exist. Great men of God are not known in heaven. Heaven only knows the good and the faithful. There's no measurement for greatness. God only measures the good and the faithful. So suddenly, all of a sudden, a vacuum in my heart. I didn't want to do ministry anymore. Didn't just want to go out and preach another sermon. So I retreated and I spent my days locked up in my room, in my prayer closet, asking God questions about life, real questions. See, in my experience, I discovered if you do not dare ask God real questions, he will never give you real answers. The reason being simply that God does not assume that you want to know. He said in his word, give not holy things to dogs and give not precious pearls to swines. So God doesn't assume. If he assumes for you, he will have to assume for all of us. So if you do not show interest, God doesn't assume that you are interested. So someday you have to face God and ask him real questions about your life, about your calling, about your being here. So I spent days locked up in my room asking God questions about life, real questions. In those days, 2012, there are three major things that troubled me as a minister. Number one, I was troubled by John chapter 14, verse 12. In John 14:12, Jesus said, those who believe in him will do the works that he did and even do greater works because he goes to the Father. And Jesus had gone to the Father many years, and I have been a full-time pastor for over a decade. By 2012, I had been a pastor now for over 10, I was getting to 15 years of full-time ministry. And I wasn't seeing John 14:12 coming forth for me and for many people that I knew around me. Even making it worse, I even saw many great ministers, great like we call them, go to the occult powers, occultism, to go get rings and magic chains and magic soap to do ministry. So I began to question God about John 14:12. What is this thing about John 14:12? Did you say John 14:12 that we were going to really do it, or it was just a way of talking? That was my first question. See, Jesus said we would do the works that he did, meaning all of us that believe, not just the ministers, all of us that believe, we are supposed to be walking the streets of Makodi and then find 10 lepers and just tell them, I will be clean, and instantly they are clean. That's what Jesus did. Or meeting a crowd, 5,000 men without counting their wives and children with 5 loaves, feed them and take 12 baskets home. No? That Jesus said we will do those works that he did. He said we will find blind men that will be shouting, please, Son of David, have mercy on me. And say, your wives are restored. And that's as simple as that. See, when I answered the call to ministry, that's what I was seeing. That's what I was pursuing. I didn't just become a pastor so I can bury the dead and baptize a few people. No. But it was already 15 years or more down the line of my service to God. And John 14:12 wasn't forthcoming. Not only in my life, but even in the life of the people that I looked up to as spiritual leaders and so on. So it became a concern, and I told God, I don't want to go back and preach another sermon until I know why John 14:12 is not happening. How many of you are interested to know why John 14:12 is not happening in most of our lives, in most of our churches, in most of our ministries? That was my first concern. My second concern then was the fact that I was traveling across Cameroon and across nations, not just Africa, even in other parts of the world, seeing men of God that were, to me, genuine men who loved the Lord and served the Lord in a genuine manner, but lived in a poverty that could not be described. And I couldn't reconcile their consecration to God with the level of their poverty. Knowing God to be the one who has all the silver and the gold of the world, he doesn't even know what to do. The Bible tells us then that the streets of heaven are paved with gold. So how can our Heavenly Father, our employer, be this rich and his servants on the earth are begging for bread? I couldn't understand that. So that was my second concern. My third concern, Mama Tina, was the rise of this other gospel that is making waves in all of our nations. The rise of false prophets and false pastors who pull mammoth crowds across the nations. And I looked into that and I said, God, it seems like I'm the only one that is concerned with the rise of this other thing that looks like the gospel, but which is not the gospel. I was even more shocked to see that some men of God or some servants of God that are considered to be genuine ministers were caught up with this thing and followed the train of the moment. And I spent my days crying in my room and asking God why, and asking God how come. And one fateful Thursday morning, that month of April 2012, I was in my room. I was on my knees. I was on my face crying and asking God and telling God, I don't want to go back to preaching until I get answers. That morning, he didn't count himself. Then he whispered to my ears. He said, Ngnangock, do you want to have answers to many questions you're asking? I said, yes. And he said, if you want the answers, shut down everything. When he said that, I left my room, my prayer closet, and ran to the kitchen. Called my wife and said, sweetheart, come. Then she came. We were just the two of us in the house. Our helps were walking outside. So I said, come, she came. And I said, yeah, just open to me. He said, if you want answers to many questions that you're asking him, you should shut down everything and go to the mountain. And then she said, if that's all, it looked like a small thing to her. She said, if that's all he's asking for, let's go. So we sat down and planned that by Sunday evening, we're going to go travel out of Yaoundé. We live in Yaoundé, the capital city. So we planned, let's wait for Sunday. We'll go to church on Sunday morning, give instruction to the church and to our collaborators, and then we'll go. Because we didn't know how long we were going to go. So we planned that we were going to go. So we planned that we were going to go to the northwest of Cameroon, somewhere after Bamenda. Some of you know Cameroon. We wanted to go somewhere after Bamenda on the hillside of the northwest and hide on a mountain there until God was done with us. At the back of my mind, I knew it was going to take us like 30 days, maximum 40 days. We could maybe do it 40 days fast. And then within that time, the Lord will show up and then tell us what the way forward is. So on Sunday morning, we got to church. Our cars were loaded with our stuff. We got to church to say goodbye, give instructions, and leave. And while I was talking to them, suddenly the Holy Ghost moved into the service, and the service turned. And the Lord said, you are not going anywhere. You're going to be here, and you and all these people, you're going to go through the journey. So that Sunday morning, I announced to the church that all of our programs were suspended to further notice. There will be no more preaching, no more conference, no more traveling, no more anything. We're going to do just one thing. From tomorrow, Monday, we'll be fasting and praying until the Lord says stop. So I tailored a program for us to meet in church 4 times a day. From the following day, Monday morning, we will meet morning 5 to 7 a.m. Then the students and the peoples and the workers will go to work. We will stay back in church. The pastors and the other brethren were in camp. We're literally camping on the church side. We'll pray from 5 a.m. to 7. We'll go, we'll stay, continue praying, reading, and studying. At midday, they will get a break, come back to church. We will pray midday to 2 p.m. Then they will go back, and then they will come back at 5, and then we will pray from 5 to 8 p.m. Then we all go home to break the fast, get shower and get refreshed, to come back at midnight and pray midnight to 3 a.m. It took us 10 hours of praying per day. We did 30 days. After 30 days, we went to 40 days. When we concluded the 40 days, he said 21 days. When we concluded 21 days, he said 90 days. And after at the end of the 90 days, he said continue without counting days anymore. So it took us 5 years. How many of you still want to see Jesus? Apostle Gideon, 5 years the church was shut down. Nothing happening except prayer and fasting. 5 years. From 2012 to 2017, 5 years. No traveling, no preaching, no conference, no seminar. As a matter of fact, at the time, the Lord said, shut down your phone, shut down your internet, shut down everything. Now, it might interest you to know that the minister, he who preaches the gospel, lives by the gospel, right? So if you are not preaching and you are not doing anything, you're staying home, even if you have some money at the bank, if you keep taking and using and taking and using, and the bills we suspended ministry, but the bills were not suspended. My 5 children had to go to school, so you had to pay school fees, you had to pay everything, and all the bills that you can imagine in a normal home. So before soon, the money was gone. I was tempted to answer a few invitations here and there to go, and the Lord said, you're going nowhere. Great encounters require great sacrifice. If you want to have encounters, number one thing you must be ready for is the price to pay, the sacrifice. See, every glory has a story. Before you celebrate the glory, you got to know the story behind. That's why I don't just want to tell you that, on the 3rd of July 2015, he took me to heaven. Oh, I would have been happy to tell you that we were sitting in a restaurant, a nice restaurant, and eating a T-bone steak, or a nice roasted fish when God took me to heaven. No, it didn't happen like that. It doesn't even happen like that. See, from the time I said yes to Jesus, I've always been passionate for Jesus. Everyone that knows me knows that from the days of secondary school up until now, I am all out for Jesus, 100%. See, I had this idea at the back of my mind that if I love God and I manifest zeal and passion for Him, someday when God will wake up in a good mood, He will remember me and look for me and ask for and send for me. Like they sent for David. He was in the bush taking care of the animals, and then suddenly one gentleman came running and said, hey, David, come, the prophet is at home, they're looking for you. That's the idea I had at the back of my mind. Someday when God wakes up in a good mood, He will remember me and suddenly He will ask for, where's Nyango? Go get it for me, and then I will come, and then He will give me a big anointing, and I will become a great man of God. But guess what? In 2012, I discovered that God wakes up every day with the same mood. There will never be a day when God is in a good mood. You know why? Because God doesn't have hormones. It is us that have hormones. It is our hormones that are responsible for mood swings. Women have more hormones than men. So, that's why sometimes you sit with your wife and you haven't quarreled, and before you know it, her face is looking like the rain is coming. I didn't say my wife. Why are you looking this way? Apostle James tells us about God, and he says He is called the Father of light, and in Him there is no variableness nor shadows of turnings. So God is stable. That's why we call Him the eternal God. His mood is the same. He's stable. He doesn't vary. So if you do not take the first step towards Him, He doesn't come to you. It is James that said, draw near to God and He will draw near to you. In other words, if you do not draw near to God, what will happen? If He draws near to you first, He will have to draw near to all of us, because on the day of judgment, He will be found guilty of partiality. That's why he threw the ball at us and said, it is up to you to draw near first. You take the first step. If you take one step, He will take 10 or 100 towards you. Hallelujah. So, we shut down everything. 5 years. Invitations to preach all over the world. But He said, don't go. We're going nowhere, stay here. Oh, we started first year, second year, third year. On the third year, 2015, Boko Haram. Have you know Boko Haram? No? In Cameroon, in the northern part of Cameroon, Boko Haram, 2015 was their peak. Every day, killing of people. It was hot. And we were in this time of fasting. One morning, the Lord came and said, I am sending you to the north. I want you to go to the north, to that red zone where Boko Haram is causing havoc. And I want you to go and do a prophetic walk to push back the assaults of Boko Haram. So I stopped the prayer and I told the brethren, the Lord says we should go to the north, the northern part to where Boko Haram is, to go and stop the attacks of Boko Haram. So how many of you are volunteering? And they all said, Daddy, it is to you that God said, not. God said you should go. We will stay here and pray for you. So my wife said, I'm going with you. And then 3 of my pastors decided to, yes. So 5 of us left Yaoundé and we traveled to the north. Chief, with fear in our belly. You know, in that trip of 2015 to the north, I learned a good lesson of what a courageous man is. You know, the difference between a courageous man and a coward. No, not before the difference. A courageous man and a coward have a common ground, is that they all fear. The difference is that after they get scared, the courageous man will still wake up and do what he has to do. The coward, when he gets scared, will either faint or run away. But a courageous person, when he gets scared, will say, if I have to die, if I perish, I will still have to go. So we went on that journey with fear in our stomachs. We knew we couldn't come back. There was a possibility that we would not come back. Those guys would adopt us and take us to the bush and kill us, or a bomb would explode while we are praying around. But we went, we said goodbye to the brethren and told them, if we don't come back, please continue. Keep seeking the Lord until he shows up. So we went on this journey, traveled on that red zone. For days, we traveled everywhere, praying, building altars, and cursing the works of these evil men and pushing back the walls of killings and the havoc that they were causing in the north. We finished the mission, thank God, and we all came back alive. Now, we were in the train traveling back to Yaoundé. Early morning at 4 a.m., I had gotten up because I had taken the habit of waking up before my house. I tell men, especially the husbands, when the Bible says that the man is the head of the home, it's not just so that you take the biggest seat and get the biggest meat. Your headship in your home, you lead your home by example. You have to go ahead of them so that they see the example in you. So every day in our home, I make sure I wake up before everybody. Before I wake up, I wake my wife up. I had prayed at least 1 hour before I wake her up. By the time she's waking up, my engine is already hot. When she wakes up, she sees the lion vibrating. So in the train that morning, I woke up early, 1 hour before the normal prayer time. Normal prayer time was 5. By 4 o'clock, I was up. I was on my knees praying. And as I was praying, he spoke to me. That same voice came. He says, rise up, go to the United States of America to a city called Ashland, because there I want to talk to you. When he said that, she was lying down on her bed by me. I woke her up. I said, darling, the Lord says I should go to Ashland, to the United States of America, because he wants to talk to me there. And she said, but go. So I took my phone and called my staff in the U.S. I said, the Lord is sending me on a retreat, and he's sending me to a place I don't know. I don't know where Ashland is. I've never heard of Ashland. Been going to the States, to the U.S. now for many, many years, but I've never heard of Ashland, never been there. So I called them and they said, Daddy, Ashland is somewhere in Virginia. Give us some time and we'll get back to you. Shortly after that, they called back and said, where we've called Ashland, there's a prayer ground in Ashland, a campground. And they even have their summer camp that is beginning in 3 days to come. So they said they can host you for 7 days. I said, please book for me, I'm coming. So we did the booking. 3 days after that, I was ready to go. I'm at dinner. The night I was packing my things, we bought just one ticket. I was supposed to go alone. It's me that was invited. So I'm packing my bags in my room. And then my wife comes in, pulls her suitcase and starts packing. And then I turned to her and I said, is this a prophetic act or what? And she said, my husband, you and I have been going everywhere together. It's always your food and my food. And you mean this time God is inviting you to talk with you and you want to go alone and leave me here? I'm not staying. I said, but you can't go because we don't have budget for you. You haven't bought your ticket and we don't have them. We don't. Remember, it's that time we are not traveling. We are not doing nothing. I mean, like, there's no activity going on. So barely no money coming in. I said, we don't have the budget for you. He said, I know how big your faith is. Between now and tomorrow morning, you will get the ticket from me. So we said we continue packing. While we were packing, a phone call came in. Hey, Daddy, how are you? I said, I'm doing well. Finished greeting. He said, Daddy, can I see you tomorrow? I said, you can't see me tomorrow because I'm going on a retreat. Oh, where are you going to? I'm going to the US. The Lord sent me for a retreat. I'm going for 7 days. Are you going alone or you're going with mom? I said, no, I'm going alone. Mom can. Oh, why are you not going with mom? I said, no, your mom can't go because she doesn't have a ticket. He said, is it just a ticket matter? I said, yes. He says, and the person says, what if I buy a ticket for her? I said, well, if you buy a ticket for her, then I will go with her. Long story short, we got a ticket. The next day we were in the plane. We went to the US. We flew into New York and then straight to Ashland. When we got to Ashland, they booked us in, and then we were locked up for 7 days. We were only coming out in the evenings because every evening they will have worship time, and then a man of God will come and preach the word or bless them. So all day we were in our rooms praying. You know, God says he's going to talk to us. So you don't even want to go to the restroom. Then he will come and say, I came, I didn't see. We will stay locked up in a room and praying and waiting and praying and looking around. Now, but before that time, Jesus had already come to my room. The first time he appeared to us physically, and I was there with my wife. It was in the city of Lubumbashi in Congo. We had gone to Congo, right? Lubumbashi in Congo. We had gone to Congo for a conference, and the one bed last night of the conference, we came back from the conference late in the night, got into our hotel room, just quickly showered, and we were ready to go to sleep. He showered first, and she was already in bed. And then I finished, and I was coming out of the bathroom, and then the Lord was there. Our room was filled with light, and the master was standing right there. And then I got scared. And then he said, sit down, I want to talk with you. So I sat down, I woke my wife up. She was already sleeping. I woke her up. I said, wake up, we have a guest. And she woke up, and we sat by the bed. And the Lord spoke to me from that time. It was almost 10 to 11 p.m. till 4 a.m. I didn't close my eyes that night. Maybe another time I'll tell you that story. You know, the conversation was so intense that day in Congo. At the time, you know, the Lord cares for us. At the time, he told me, let your wife sleep. Tired. I said, Mama, lie down. And she lay down. In that presence, she lay down. Then he said, I will continue with you. I rest. So she lay down by me. And then he continued talking to me. You know, the Lord cares even for the details of our lives. So when we went to Ashland, I was expecting that maybe someday he would still appear in the same manner. 7 days we waited in a dry fast. We couldn't even swallow saliva so that you didn't break your... Seven days. At the end of the 7 days, Apostle Gideon, he didn't come. There was nothing particular, except that in the sessions, we had received a few prophecies, but we've seen some visions, but it was too meager for 2 air tickets and a long flight to the US. If you have ever flown to the US in summertime, we are talking about June, July. It's a peak of summer. The tickets are, we bought our tickets. It was almost 4 million safer. 1 million safer is like 5 million naira. That's like plenty money for that season of, where there was no money at all. So 7 days after, he didn't show up. There was nothing spectacular about our coming to the US. So on the 7th day, at midday, we decided to break our fast because we were going to fly the next day. We were going to fly back to Cameroon the next morning. We prayed, concluded our fast. We were a little bit disappointed, especially my wife. And she asked me, but now we have come, so how are we going back? What will we tell the brethren that we came to do? I said, we will tell them we obeyed the voice of the Lord and we came. He is the boss. If he has changed his mind, we can't query God for changing his mind. So we prayed, and then we finished our retreat. He said, let me go to the kitchen and prepare a little meal so that we get something in the stomach before we fly back to Cameroon. He went to the kitchen, and then I went to the administration of the camp to sign out. Because when you come in, you sign in, and before you go, you have to sign out. Because when you leave, they allocate the room to someone else. So I went to the administration, and I thanked them for their great hospitality, signed out, and then I asked the pastor in charge, the director of the camp, to pray for us. And she prayed. It's an elderly lady. She prayed for us. I said thank you, and I left the office. I was at the veranda outside, and then he came now. And he said, Ngnangock, did you come here by yourself, or I'm the one that asked you to come? I said, you are the one that asked me to come. And then he said, if I'm the one that asked you to come, why did you go sign out without my permission? And I was surprised. Was I still supposed to ask for your permission? You know that we came here for 7 days. Sometimes we get so logical with God, right? I said, Lord, was I supposed to be asking for your permission again? You know that we came here for 7 days, and today is the 7th day. And by the law of this camp, the camp where we went to in Ashland, the law says if you came from out of the United States, they could host you for maximum 7 days. If you came from US or Canada, it's 3 days. Because the demand is great. Thousands of people coming from all over the world to pray. So I told God, was I supposed to ask for your permission? You know that the law here is 7 days. And today is the 7th day, and our flight is being for tomorrow morning, 6. So then he said to me, in a very sarcastic, he says, if I am the one that asked you to come, what I asked you to come for has not even started. So you have the choice to either stay here and obey me, or go back to Cameroon and do your ministry. And then he left. Man of God, I have never been this embarrassed. If it was in Nigeria, I would say, well, between us African brothers, you can explain that I came for 2 days and now the Lord is leading me to stay longer. My Nigerian brothers will understand. My African brothers will understand. But those people over there. So this is me confused. I don't know and I told God, but if you didn't want me to go, why didn't you talk to me before I signed out? Now I have signed out. This is the paper in my hand. He wasn't there to hear me. To cut the long story short, but at the end of that day, he said, you stay here till further notice. You are going nowhere. You stay here till further notice. We went to Ashland for 7 days. We stayed there 3 months. Leaving our 5 children back in Cameroon, leaving the brethren, they were, you know the kind of crazy ideas that people will have, right? Oh, now surely they have fallen bush. They are no more coming. They will no more come back. We knew that they were looking for opportunity to go to America. Now they have gone. But people have that kind of crazy idea. But we were used to going to America. I mean, we've been going there for more than a decade before this happened. So we went for 7 days. We stayed 3 months. It's in that 3 months bracket that I was raptured to heaven 3 times. So we changed our program. I had to go back to the administration and tell them, see, this is what has just happened to me. This is what the Lord is saying. And I told the director of the camp, the woman of God, I told her, I know that you know God, so ask him if what I'm telling you is true. And when I was talking to her, she was smiling. She said, I don't need to ask him. I said, why? He said, because when I was praying for you, he said to me, he asked me to tell you that it wasn't yet time for you to go home, that he had not finished. So I stopped the prayer and I looked at your face and I saw that your face was looking to Cameroon. You wanted to go. So I told him, if I tell him, he won't believe me, so you tell him yourself. So she said, I am happy that he spoke to you and you heard his voice. What you heard is right. He said it to me while I was praying for you. So she said, this camp belongs to him. The rules, we made the rules, but he's the owner of the camp. So keep your room until further notice. And I asked her, till further notice means what? She said to me, if he keeps you here for 10 years, we'll host you for 10 years. So I said, thank you, and I went back to the room. When I went back to my room, my wife was waiting for me. She had to cook the meal. And I said, sweetheart, we are not going. He said, you like crazy jokes. This is not the time and the place to joke. I said, the big man up there says, we are not going. And I told her the story. And she began to cry. He said, you men, you don't understand what it means to leave your children and leave your house. And I said to her, you know, what you did following me to this place is what my people in the north call karambani. Do you know what karambani? Anybody here know? Now, for the sake of those of you, karambani means getting into a matter that is not your own. I said, you are crying now and thinking, it is me that was invited. You decided to follow me. Now that the one that invited me is asking me to stay, you are crying that you are a mother, you have children. I said, don't worry, I understand you. Tomorrow morning, I will escort you to the airport. I will make sure you are in the plane. Go home, take care of the children, take care of the family. I will stay here and wait. And she asked me the same question. So, when he says till further notice, what does that mean? I said, it means that I can stay here for 10 years. When I said that, she started beating me. She said, I'm serious. I said, till further notice means until he changes his mind, this is where we will be. So I asked her, you want to go or you want to stay? At the end of the day, she decided, I'm staying with you. I said, okay, if you're staying with me, let's stay and wait. Now see, the next morning, when we left Cameroon, we had taken a bit of money. We had $1,000 in our pocket. You don't go to America empty-handed. You know, even if you're on a retreat, when you leave your retreat ground, you pass through you don't want to come back to Africa with empty boxes. So we had kept some money that at least we'll buy a few things for the children before coming home. The next morning, after he changed our plan, and now we are no more going, we are now here till further notice, and we don't know for how long. We came to the altar to pray, because every morning we kept our tradition of coming to pray 5 to 7. 5 to 7, we will come to the temple. Nobody is there, just the two of us. We will kneel down and pray. That morning, when we came, knelt down, while we were praying, he whispered to me, he said, the money in your pocket, take it all and put it in the offering basket. I stopped the prayer and I told her, he says all the money that we have, we should put in the offering basket. And then she looked at me and said, you are a crazy man. I've decided to follow you. I'm following you. Everywhere you are leading me, I'm behind you. So I took out the money. I said, let's agree. We prayed, agreed, and put it in the offering basket. Now, we don't have an air ticket to go home, and we don't have money. And Mama, listen to this. He says, throughout your stay here, don't call anybody. So 3 months locked up in that camp. We have friends across America, but we can't call anyone. We can't even text. I'm sharing all these details with you to tell you, to show you the demands for encounters. See, God does not show himself to casual seekers. He doesn't show himself to the people that seek him when it's convenient. As a matter of fact, great encounters will almost always take place out of your comfort zone. If you are not ready to shift out of your comfort zone, you are not ready for Am I talking to somebody? So we stayed. So it is 1 week after he changed our program. Now, the night of the 3rd of July, we were in the sanctuary in the evening at the time of worship. You know, their temple is big, bigger than. And they have created a space in front of the altar. They call it the river of God. Every time we came for service, they do the opening prayer, and then everybody will leave their seats, and then we come in front. We come in front. That's where praise and worship takes place. Everybody worships God in the river, in front of the altar. So that night, as usual, we were at the altar. That day, we have a friend of ours, Prophet Rich Daniel, and the wife. They're white guys from New York. They came from New York that day to meet us. As a matter of fact, when we landed in New York, it is Prophet Rich Daniel and the wife that welcomed us from the airport and helped us get to Ashland. Now, they knew we came for 7 days. When our program changed, we told them, hey, we are no more flying at the days that we told you because the Lord has changed our program. So they didn't get that. It didn't sound very good. I don't know how it sounded in their ears. So on that 3rd of July, that was the eve of the independence in America. They decided to come and see us and understand why we were no more going back at our date. So we were there. I was there with Rich Daniel and the wife, my wife and I, and the other people. Thousands of people who were singing and dancing and praising the Lord. And in the middle of the music, all of a sudden, I stopped, lifted up my eyes, and heard me say something that I did not plan. It's not me that was talking because the things I said were never in my mind. I heard me say a prayer. Lord, since I have been serving you and walking with you, you have never taken me to where you live. Now, I must tell you that for the 3 years that we've been fasting and praying, going to heaven was never in our plan. In fact, it was not one of the expectations. We knew that the Lord will come. We didn't know how, but we just knew that someday in the middle of our prayer, the Lord will appear. So I heard me say that prayer, and as soon as I just barely finished saying that sentence, I was on the floor. I fell, and then I found myself walking with an angel. We walked on a long road, on a long stretch, on some hundreds of meters, and then a staircase appeared from nowhere, and then we started climbing the stairs. The angel was on my left, then climbing and climbing. We climbed and got in front of a big white gate, like an automatic door. The angel got close to the door opened, the angel entered. I entered after him, and the door closed behind us. It is after the door closed behind us that I realized I had just made it to heaven. You know, the interesting thing is, when that happened to me up there, the Lord opened the eyes of the wife of my friend, Prophet Rich Daniel, that came from New York, and she saw me enter. And then she turned to my wife and said, you see my brother lying here? He's no more here. I just saw him. He just crossed the gate. Now he's into heaven. And when she said that to my wife, she will tell you the rest of the story. Suddenly she lost her calm, and she said to herself, I know my husband. If this guy sees Jesus where he is gone, he will no more come back here. And if he doesn't come back, what will I do? Where will I start? What will I tell his children and his family? As a matter of fact, here we are with no money. We got the $1,000 that we had in our pockets. We put it in the offering basket. So, and he said we should not call anybody. So if he doesn't come back. Now you can imagine what can go on in the mind of a woman. So that night, I was taken up at 8 p.m. It was 8 p.m. on the church clock when I was taken up to heaven. And I came back at 3 a.m. the following day. So I stayed, according to Chronos time, I stayed there 7 hours. So when we crossed the gate, we entered the city, a beautiful city. Oh my God. See, if you miss heaven, it was better you were never born. Apostle Gideon, what I saw up there, America looks like a trash. See, From the time I went to heaven and came back, I don't do sightseeing because there's nothing to see in this world. I travel across the globe. I mean, everywhere. I do airport, hotel, conference ground, hotel, airport. When I enter my hotel room, I don't want to see anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to go anywhere. I only want to go and talk to people. When I finish, come back to my room. I want to stay with him. Sometimes when I travel, especially when I go Europe, America, and all this, my children will go and beg their mother, say, please, follow your husband go. Because if you don't go, you come back with testimonies. He doesn't do shopping. And we need some things. So they will beg Mama to go with me so that in between 2 stations, he can go. And that's okay. See, the city I saw. Now, when I entered, when the gate closed behind us, I was found in this city, beautiful city. The words in English are not articulated and described what I saw. The streets are completely gold, pure gold. It's not a figure of speech, it's real. The houses, the flowers, the beauty of the colors, I can't describe. I mean, when I saw it, my eyes came out of their orbits. I was looking around. I was walking with the angel. Now see, when we entered the city, we were not walking there like we were floating. Like, if you've been to like big airports around the world, they have this rolling carpet where you stand and then you just, like we were floating. The angel was by my left and I was looking around. Beautiful city, I mean beautiful. There were no lights like this, but it was lighted, it was bright. I was looking around and I saw nobody. I thought I would see some people that I know that have gone ahead of us. I saw nobody. And after we walked like 200 meters or more, then we suddenly stopped